Our next pair is Bill MacKay and Brian Ashby. Bill MacKay cut his teeth in various bands and projects spanning genres across the US, and has created an extensive body of original work while energizing the folk, avant-garde, and experimental diaspora. His most recent records, Fountain Fire, released on Drag City in 2019, Esker, also released on Drag City in 2017, and Spider Beetlebee on Drag City, 2017 also. His second duo set with Riley Walker reveal a startling range, from the folk of Appalachia, avant-rock and blues to gospel, jazz, raga-esque excursions, and country western modes. His records have received praise in reviews by the Chicago Reader, Mojo, The Ear, Uncut, Downbeat, Haste, Pitchfork, and New City, among other publications. Brian Ashby is a filmmaker and co-founder of the documentary production company Scrappers Film Group. He recently produced and edited The Area, a 5-year chronicle of displacement in the South Side neighborhood, which the reader calls an eye-opening saga of resistance. He co-directed Central Standard on Education and Scrappers, one of Roger Ebert's best documentaries of 2010. His work as a producer includes Harry Who and Chicago Images, and Westerman Memorial to the Idea of Man if He Was an Idea. So please join me in welcoming both Bill and Brian to say a few as the project was beginning. If you could just say something about kind of what you were thinking about and what you were working on when you started working on this project, and how that kind of influenced the footage that you were looking for and some of the early decisions you made.
Sure. So I'm incredibly honored to be here tonight. I've been a big fan of the Chicago Film Archives Media Mixer, attended almost every year. And have known Nancy and Michelle since maybe not the beginning, but the earlier days of the Film Archives, and have used the Film Archives in a lot of projects that I've worked on. So couldn't be more thrilled, and thank you all for coming. Yeah, I'm used to talking about films after they're screened more than before, but happy to provide a little context. I used the Chicago Film Archives collections to make a film about white flight. That's what you're going to see tonight. I have an interest in that, in looking more at how it explains the city that we live in today, which is so starkly segregated on racial lines, and even more along those same lines in terms of what resources, investments, development communities get. Michelle mentioned that I've spent the past 5-6 years working on a film called The Area. It's about a neighborhood in Englewood that was purchased and demolished by an expanding railroad facility. And it was about one kind of specific instance of displacement, but it was meant to ask broader questions about the history of America, and in terms of how we keep repeating these patterns where wealth is sucked out of communities and passed up the chain to the people who already have the most. So I kind of see the quick and violent racial transformation of these neighborhoods that happen in Chicago and other cities around the country as the prequel to that, I guess, if you will. And didn't necessarily imagine I'd be jumping back into that subject matter again so quickly, but here we are. And something that's been on my mind quite a bit is doing more research on in my kind of journey of understanding that history. I talked to Michelle about whether there was any, as a place to start, material in the Film Archives that came from neighborhoods on the south and west sides of Chicago when they were predominantly white neighborhoods, and there was. And we found more as we went along, from places like Chatham, Pullman, Avalon Park, Humboldt Park, so that's some of what you'll see in the film. And then I kind of would put those amateur and family films in conversation with oral histories and testimonies of that have been collected of that time period, because there has been quite a lot written about it. It's not, none of these insights are new, but I feel like we have not, as a society, come to a complete understanding or reckoning with this history at all. So I hope image making and art making can provide a little bit of a way in there. And then I talked to Bill.
Who had nothing so articulate or interesting to say. That's what Brian just said.
Well, I want to take it from you, and I think everyone else would too, about how you guys collaborated together, and also too, maybe generally how you kind of think about and respond to images as a musician.
Well, I guess it was a classic collaboration in some ways, as far as, oh, hello everybody, thanks for being here. In that we went back and forth, some material that Brian had that germinated, or a lot of material actually, and then I started to really easily actually flow into some compositional ideas and things like that, because it was so evocative to me, and was on a lot of lines of similar things I'm interested in and concerned about. So those themes started to develop, and then it was sort of the back and forth conversation that collaborations often take, and we went traded versions, and Brian sent me more material, and those changed and got tightened and refined and beautified and powerfulized. And his work is so really amazing. I've done a bunch of or a fair amount of soundtrack work of different kinds, and this was definitely up there with one of my favorites of that kind of work. And it just flowed very easily. And so yeah, I hope you enjoyed the result of the fruit of our double labors. Let me see, sorry, was there more to that question? Did I miss something? Okay. Yeah, thanks so much for having us, and thanks Michelle and everybody at Chicago Film Archives, and Brian. Yeah, so it's funny to talk about it before, isn't it?
Yeah, I was thrilled to work with Bill. I've definitely been familiar with his work for a while, and was so thrilled that Michelle matched us up. I could really kind of picture the sound of a single kind of stringed instrument in this room, and we had a lot of great conversations over the past few weeks, and particularly leading right up to this. And the last thing I'll just say is the film was not meant to critique or say anything particular about the people in it who provided the footage. I'm a lot more interested in how images and archives kind of point to what's outside of them and ask us to interpret it. So I thought it was an amazing resource that this stuff existed and had been preserved by the careful work of the Film Archives. And I felt more it's our shared history, the history of the people in the images, the history of the people whose voices you'll see in it, and our own. Definitely the children and grandchildren of people who fled these neighborhoods, people who grew up in suburbs and have returned to the city and found, disinvested neighborhoods paved for them to find great deals on real estate and all of that, which might describe me and many of us in this room. So those are some of the things we're thinking about. I hope you enjoy it, and we'll definitely be around afterwards.
States back here. This is what the United States is. The people who have their security tied up in their property, take pride in their home, and this is what they work for. This is their life.